Okay, so now we're on the official 10 Commandments. Did a little bit of an intro there, the background setting for the 10 Commandments. What we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the actual 10 Commandments. It's an interesting that I have heard the 10 Commandments since I was a small child. They're all around in our society, at least they used to be everywhere. And now all of a sudden we have this I have this new information about the 10 Commandments that I would actually like to share with you. The Jewish culture calls it the 10 words because in Hebrew it works out to be 10 words. What I'd like to do is real quick just read for you just the very beginning of the 10 Commandments, which is Commandment 1. And then we're going to see how this sounds in Hebrew. So it's very interesting, this part here, but it reads like this. Anoki, this is the Yud He Vav He. You can pronounce it Yehovah. Some people say Jehovah, but it's the Yud He Vav He. Most Jewish people just pronounce it Adonai. And then it goes Anoki, Yehovah, it's Elohim, but it's Eloheach, which is your God. So this is what this is saying. And Anoki is I am God. Yehovah, your God, is what it's saying here. And this is important because remember, once again, this is the first time that the Israelites are actually introduced to this God that just took them out of Egypt, that just saved them from a life of slavery. And he's introducing himself. The first thing he says is, I am this God. I am the one who has rescued you. And he goes on to say, I brought you out of the land of Egypt. Now what's interesting, in the 10 Commandments, we think that there is just one rule, then the next rule, then the next rule, then the next rule. But remember, I said these are actually instructions. They're a guideline for your life. And so I want to look at them separately than I've ever been taught, which is just one rule, then the next rule, then the next rule, and how do these all apply? Some things apply easily, some don't. What I want to say to you is that let's look at them as 5 basic principles. 5 basic principles, and they actually correlate across. Now remember, there's 2 tablets of stone, and each one has 5 and 5. 5 words on one, 5 words on the other. If you can imagine, we have these not just going down as 5 here and 5 there. The first 5, 1 through 5, are, most people say, are connected to our relationship with Adonai. The second, they say, is our relationship with man. Okay, so that's great. But do they do anything more than just read down here and read down over here? I believe they do. I've been doing some studies with Rabbi Foreman, and he's a great teacher from Aleph Beta. And some of the most interesting things that he has showed me is that this is actually a principle, 5 biblical principles that are brought across. And so you have the relationship between us and Adonai. And that first relationship is, He is our God. He is our God. Of all the gods of all the world, all the false gods, everything, He is the God. He is the creator of the universe. He is my creator. He is the world's creator. He is the one and only Almighty, El Elyon, Almighty, Adonai Elohim Sabaoth, commander of the armies of heaven. He is the God of peace. He's the one who brings shalom. He is that person. He is that God in relationship with me. Because of that, one of the things you need to understand, and I'm going to show you in a second how this parallels with the commandment number 6, which is do not murder. So let me just show this to you real quick. In the 10 Commandments, we have 1, I am the Lord your God, right? And I wrote it out, Yehovah Elohim. And then we also have do not murder. So these two go together. And if you can imagine, they're both at the top of the tablet. They're parallel to each other this way. What it is that When we look at the word murder, even Yeshua says that if you hate a man in your heart, it is as though you have murdered him. So why would Yeshua say such a thing? Because he understands this principle that Adonai is our creator. If Adonai is my creator and the creator of the universe, but let's just talk specifically because he's talking to his children at the Mount Sinai at this time in Torah. That means he's speaking to us today in that same place. He's saying, I am your creator. You are special to me. You are my children. Now you have to remember that when Adonai was saying this, half of the people who left Egypt were not just Israelites. They were a mixed multitude. A mixed multitude means many nations, because if you think way back to the time of Joseph, many nations around the world, or at least around that part of the world, all went to Egypt because it was the only one who had food during a 7-year famine. So that's what's happening. You've got all this mixed nationality here, all leaving because they saw the hand of Adonai in Egypt. So they were like, okay, let's go. They all went. So when he's speaking to all of them. He's saying, everyone who believes in me is my child. That's what he's saying here. And I created you, and you are incredible. Absolutely incredible. However, I am God, and I am the creator of all mankind. Every person that breathes has breath, because Adonai Elohim is the creator of all mankind. So, how does this connect to do not murder? And this is where Yeshua, he knew how this connected. Do not murder. Now, we're going to first go to the practical understanding of what do not murder means. Don't kill somebody. Okay? Don't shoot them. Don't stab them. Don't run them over with your car. Let me not give you any more ideas. Don't murder. Don't physically kill someone. Okay? Not intentionally. But that's not what Yeshua was saying. Yeshua was saying, if you hate a man, it is though you have murdered him in your heart. It's the same. He knew that there was the same. And that's because Yeshua knew that Torah says that man is created in God's image. That doesn't make us God. That makes us a mirror image of him. Something that he gave life to. If I said, let's just go out and destroy the earth tomorrow, everybody would have a fit, myself included, right? Why? Because the earth is something God created and we're supposed to respect it. If we don't respect it, then guess what? It dies. If it dies, we all die. That's the theory. So it's the same with man. I cannot just go out and hate my neighbor just because I want to. There's a lot of racial tension going on in the world right now. Religions against religions, colors against colors. All these things that I believe are straight up Hasatan's hand to destroy humankind. Because what does he do? Kill, destroy, all of that stuff is always on his game plan. And unfortunately, we get caught up in it as humans. But what I'm saying to you is, this is where Adonai says, this man is still created in my image. They may not look like you. They may not believe like you. They may not walk like you. They may not talk like you. But they're still created in Adonai's image. We are still called to respect humankind because of this. And this is what Yeshua is saying. He knows that once I start thinking hate in my mind, in my heart, towards another person, it's as though I have opened the door to Satan. We call him Hasatan, and the Torah calls him Hasatan, the deceiver. We open the door to him and all of the spiritual forces that he has to turn that hate into murder. And the reason why we can't murder humankind is because they're created in Adonai's image, just like you, just like me. Because we're created in his image. He says, I am. Yad He Vah He. Elohim means creator. I am the God who creates. I created you. I created your neighbor. I created everyone in the world. I give them life that they may live. If you don't know what I'm saying is true, check the book of Psalms. Adonai explains in the book of Psalms and the book of Job that life is in his hands. He rises kingdoms to do his purpose. He takes kingdoms out to do his purpose. He raises up nations to do his purpose. He destroys nations to do his purpose. Don't twist this around. He's not Hasatan. He uses all these things because the world, you know that song I've got? The whole world in my hands. Well, that's the Lord. He did. He had the whole world in his hands. He still does. So when you look at your neighbor, when you look at your friend, when you look at someone that you hate, you need to put that person back in Adonai's hands. I'm not saying you have to forgive them and forget. I'm saying that forgiveness is you putting them back in Adonai's hands and letting him be in control of their punishment, their reward, their repentance, their removal. All those things are his job, not yours. Your job is to respect that other person, even if you disagree with them, simply because they are, whoops, sorry about that. Simply because they are his children. They are his people. They are his creation. I don't walk down the street and kick a dog because I don't like it. Because that would be the same principle. So this principle on Commandment 1, I am the Lord your God. As we say it in the English translation and the Hebrew translation, it is Anochi, the Yod He Vav He, Adonai Elohim. I am the God who created you. And then he goes on, you shall have no other gods before me, etc., etc. And we'll get into Commandment 2, and we'll see how it parallels to Commandment 7 in our next training.